Hey everybody, I gotta show you guys something. Okay, let me see if I can do this. It's probably backwards, right? So it says Wagner's Safflower seed. So if you have birds, okay, I know that not everybody is as old as me, and not everybody's into birds. But I learned this from an old hippie guy that was selling these cool bird feeders at our farmer's market one year. Look, it's plates. He just bolted plates together. Anyways, I just got this. Dump out the seeds. There's usually just the shells are left. But these safflower seeds, I've tried different versions. And don't just say you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot. As far as I know, they still don't carry it there, which is annoying. You guys that are overseas, I don't know how y'all do stuff. I don't know what the names of places are. Anyways, squirrels, they don't like safflower seeds. And it has to be just. I know that's backwards. Y'all, if I knew how to flip that around, I totally would. And I have some more stuff to tell you today. I just wanted to. My mom got so excited when I told her about this years ago because the squirrels stopped eating her bird seed and she could enjoy her birds. Okay, I'll screw that up. Perla, you're gonna screw that up. There's Perla, as always, about 10 feet from me. My poor baby. Oh. Excuse me for grunting on camera. Please don't hang up. Please don't leave me yet. I swear I have something to say. I can't put water in this anymore because it's broken, but the birds totally still like it when they fight. Everybody's got somewhere to go. Anyways, if this is the first time that you have seen me, I am not all over the place all the time, but I have 4 acres and I spent 25 years in the corporate world and I had help back then, aka an ex-husband. And now it's just me. So I do everything. And no, feeding birds isn't like a big thing. Putting gutters in, fixing the septic. I changed out all the lighting to modern lighting in our old little farmhouse and the kitchen. Stuff like that. I'm not trying to be cool. Here's what I have to tell you today. So, lately I have been talking about things like you matter, right? And this is my 121st video. We're over 100 days. We just hit 3,600 subscribers. And I'm not monetized yet. That's what I started this whole thing for, was so that we could follow my journey, find out when I get monetized. And I just want to say I've learned some things that I was super surprised about. And what I started doing was, this morning, I went through, because 120 videos is a lot. I started going through them and I realized that, as far as I know, I didn't miss one single comment. I was responding in the beginning with a heart emoji because I had this idea just from listening to other content creators that said things like, oh, I just have too many comments, and that's rude of me to talk like that, like I know them. They would say things like they had so many comments it was hard for them to keep up. And I didn't want to set myself up for failure. However, what I realized was, y'all that commented, even one girl said, stop saying huh so much. Which is fine, because that means she listened. And she probably isn't a subscriber now. And I'm okay with that, because that's not what I'm here for. What I'm trying to say is, thank y'all for the comments. I'm gonna actually put it in writing on the channel. I've been going back and responding with what is called an aged response, because it's like 3 months ago you guys wrote and you're like, why is Heather just now talking to me? Well, the reason is because you may have missed the video the next day after you commented, and I actually may have responded to what you said verbally, but not in writing. And maybe not all the time. I'm just trying to say right now, I'm trying to catch all of it and make sure that everyone knows that the gratitude is so deep and it sounds so dramatic, but I got fired after almost 25 years in a job that I loved, a job that it was the corporate world. You know, I came from, I was a psychologist, I was a suicide counselor, then I switched to the corporate world, and those people were my family, and that was my self-esteem, and, you know, I got lost at sea, I almost died, I lived, whoopee! But then I had survivor's guilt and all these other things, and that's not what this story's about, but I'm happy to tell it one day because I want to be able to tell it in a way that it's not like blah, 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 right? I want to be able to tell it in a way where it's a survivor story with a little humor. Like how Toby wouldn't stop throwing up because we'd been out there for so long and he was the one in charge of holding the gas lines together. And I decided that if a shark was coming, I was totally going to, like Bruce Lee, kick him off. And that sounds crazy, but when we saved ourselves, because we ended up on an abandoned island. And we live in Texas, and the Alabama Coast Guard in a helicopter going home because nobody had found us. They just happened to see us walking on this abandoned island. We were 51 miles from where we should have been. And if y'all can totally hear a Perla barking, she usually only barks at coyotes. So we're just gonna look. She might also be getting old, so I don't know. Anybody want to like donate a GoPro? I'm totally down with sticking that on her head. Until I get monetized, I'm not in a place where I can afford things like that. Got 2 kids in college. I've got a slice of Texas, and we are about a hiccup away from possibly being homeless. But I'm trying my very best. So, trying to keep everything alive, trying to keep everybody happy. And my story about Toby doesn't hate me. He's heard the story. He's a rough and tough redneck kind of guy, and if he hadn't have been there, I would not be here at all. And he knows that. I owe my life to him and Brian, who will never see this because they have flip phones, probably still. So what I want to tell you guys is it's Friday. So I've been thinking about, in the corporate world, Friday was like the hurry up and get everything done, right? And even if you're not in the corporate world, your Friday might feel like that. You know, like it's supposed to be the weekend starting tomorrow. For Julie, who's in Australia, who's our future, you don't count here. Okay, I'm sorry. We already know that you're already there, I think. Is y'all's weekend Saturday, Sunday? I don't know. My mom lived in Bahrain, and I always got real confused about the weekends because I guess I'm a bad daughter. I don't know. She loves me. All right. So it's Friday, and I was thinking about how Friday never felt like Friday. In almost 25 years, I worked almost 24/7. I was thinking about how I worked on Thanksgiving Day once when I was camping in the woods, an hour and a half from my house. I had to get on my laptop, which I happened to bring because I took it with me everywhere I went. And the VP, who I adored, I love you, George, who'll probably never see this, had to have a report. And I'm not sure I made it super, super clear that I was literally like in a tent. I don't do glamping. I mean, look where I live. But he needed something for the next day, for the Friday after Thanksgiving, and I was off that day. And I was just thinking about how I was never sour or mad about feeling like I worked 24/7 was actually just part of who I was. You know, I drove to work and back. It took 3 hours every day. At one point I had 3 kids. One was a stepdaughter. And the cool thing was they went to a school that was 30 minutes the opposite direction. So I spent a lot of time driving, listening to books, and then I would work 8 hours a day, come home, pick the kids up, and then make dinner for all 5 of us. My ex-husband liked dessert and then complained about being overweight. By the way, y'all, just love the one you're with. Just try your best. And you know what? If you just can't and it's just not working, in my opinion, a real good talk with each other, like, hey, I'm not happy. Are you happy? Is okay. Unless you're Catholic or one of those religions where you can't get divorced, I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to overstep. I'm trying to explain how Friday was never a Friday to me. It was still a hurry up and rush because everybody else needed reports or this or that turned in. And I wanted to tell everyone that it's okay to take a 10-minute break on a Friday or any time when things are insane. Let's say you're a mom and you have like 3 kids and you don't have any help. And it's just, I had 2 and I always told people I had 9 because they were a year apart. It felt like crazy town when they were younger. And I mean, I went back to work early from maternity leave because it was crazy. If that's your day and you have to get a neighbor to come over for 20 minutes, go turn on the shower and just sit on the floor and just cry your eyes out if you have to. You will feel better, I promise. I promise. You might want to get in the shower. That might help too, but I'm not saying you're dirty. I've totally pulled that one before. If you're in the corporate world, I used to do this. When I realized that I had been scheduled back to back to back to back, one day I had 4 meetings in 1 hour. That was cool. That was weird. Anyways, I digress. I used to say, because I knew my boss, she was my boss for 18 years, the one that fired me. Thanks, Mia. She'll probably never see this either. And she's got loads of excuses, I'm sure, about what happened. But the real reason is I lived. And when people have a disability, you just have to honor that. And that's the very shortened story about my prior life. So I would go to her and I would say, because I knew she wouldn't really leave for lunch unless it was like a customer lunch. But I would say, hey, I'm going to go to the sandwich shop across the street that I knew she liked and I liked. I also knew exactly what she liked. Exactly. Don't mess it up. Her car was painted Gucci, if that helps you understand what kind of person I'm talking about. And she would almost always say that she would love a sandwich. And do y'all know what that is? That was me. Of course, I was hungry. And I thought that we should all be allowed to take lunch. But for some reason, the minute we walked in the door of our building, and I mean, this was AT&T, we had tons of buildings. We had buildings that had way more people in them than ours did. But the minute that we stepped foot in there, everyone had, and if somebody wants to go and do a poll, they can. But I can pretty much guess we all felt the pressure that there's no slacking. There's no smoke breaks. There's no, there was one manager, Mary, that used to like to play Candy Crush in the middle of our meetings. That was weird. But I don't think she knew that we knew. So does that count? And who cares, right? I'm trying to tell y'all, it's Friday, and I think that you should give yourself a break today, no matter when it is. And don't say, oh, I'll just wait till I'm driving home. That's not a break. I'm saying when everything in your head just gets all like, wah, and it's all crazy. Maybe you're a realtor, you know, and you just met with a really hard client and you just don't feel like talking to anybody because you just got yelled at. Or maybe someone you love passed away and you just are sick of feeling like you want to cry. Sometimes you could go out to your car, put your alarm on your phone, close your eyes, put the seat back, give yourself 10 minutes. Do lots of breathing exercises, or don't tell anybody. I like to do handstands and put Limp Bizkit on real loud when I'm having those crazy moments. And those can only really happen in my own studio. Like, my kids aren't putting up with that. Nobody's putting up with that. I digress. Really want everybody to remember how important you are, and that if you don't put you first, they say that all the time, like happy wife, happy life. But the real truth is we all need to put ourselves first. And if you can only do it for 10 minutes a day, 30 minutes, an hour, pick what works for your schedule. I really feel like you're going to feel better. And I think one day I'm going to start I have got corporate stories that will crack you up. I've already told a couple of them. I talked about smelling like Christmas. Not me, but finding something that smelled like Christmas. Was one of my stories. But this one has to do with today's, which is you are allowed to rest, even if it's for a moment. And if you need for someone you don't know, give you permission to be a human and just rest. Because I worked 24/7 for almost 25 years. I would get woken up and the CEO of one of the big companies in my area was in India and his laptop didn't work. Guess who had to fix it? Well, tech support would have been great, but we were trained up. And so they liked having one point of contact. And there was no getting off the phone until it was fixed. And by the way, he also forgot. It was 2 o'clock in the morning back home. But that was my life, and I agreed to it. And I'm not even sure I agreed to it. I let it be. It was just my life, you know? When I would come home and see my kids and have a full refrigerator and they were smiling and happy, you know, we still shopped at the thrift store and always had a modest house and, you know, aged cars. There was nothing extravagant, but there was always plenty until now. Being fired was kind of a big deal because I applied to over 250 jobs, and I found out because I finally submitted a claim for unemployment, which went against my very soul. And they came back and said, no, because your employer says you were fired for misconduct. While an EEOC case was being investigated for 23 months, I was retaliated against. Do y'all know how many lawyers I interviewed that wouldn't take the case? I had 67 pieces of evidence. They call them receipts these days in the EEOC's portal. Yeah. Anyways, things didn't work out for me so well. And I am not going to spend a second whining and crying about it. We have figured out a way to be where we are and to find our way to joy. And I try every day to say the same things to you guys. And I guess today I just wanted to open up a little bit and say, sometimes we don't have to say, I'm going to find my joy today. It sounds ridiculous. But you could silently tell yourself, I'm finally going to take a break at 3:15 when I have that crash after I've had lunch with, you know, that customer and you ate something big. And you know that thing when you feel like, oh my gosh, if I don't have a nap, it's all over. I give you permission And I know, like, half the people that even have, if you're still listening, you're probably thinking this is a bunch of garbage. But let me tell you something. One of my daughters is 21, and I wasn't even pregnant with her yet. So this was about 23 years ago. I walked into one of our conference rooms, and one of our very best salespeople, hi Gary, was totally in his suit, asleep underneath the conference table. And I'm not a very quiet person in general. I mean, you heard what I listen to whenever I'm like mad. But I've never been so quiet in all my life. I backed out of that room so quietly and shut the door. And I just did like a little prayer, like, please don't anybody go in there and wake him up. Because he was one of our very best employees. So I knew he didn't seem sick. He just looked exhausted. I mean, he's totally in his suit. So come to find out, because I was still pretty young, come to find out he had 3 kids, and I think one of them was under the age of 1. So you guys that have kids can imagine he was probably real tired, because we all worked. I mean, it felt like we worked 24/7, but anyhow, that's my story. I never found anyone else underneath a conference table after that, but I also never told anybody that story until right now. There was also another guy at our other location, and he used to take his lunch every single day. Even it gets to be like 104 here sometimes in the summers. He would go out to his car and just crack a window and sleep for an hour every single day. I just don't really want to be that hot for an hour, but y'all, can you hear the hummingbirds? They're swarming me above me in this tree. Can you tell I like hummingbirds? If you're sick of it, I get it. If you really want to know more, let me know. Today is Friday, and my wish for you is that you get a little space to breathe, and that maybe you can have a really awesome weekend that's considered an actual weekend. Because in the corporate world, that barely exists. Not only is Sunday night making your stomach hurt because you got to go back Monday, but you also wonder, did I have any days off? When's the last time I had a vacation? That's the corporate world. I had 32 vacation days a year, and we had to put it down on paper or in the system the days that we were going to take off. So I had to basically schedule myself off for 32 days. I never took 32 days off, ever. Never. No, I didn't, Mia. Never. If someone's emailing you and texting you when you're supposed to be having a day off, if you live in Texas at least, that's against labor laws. And it's not like you can sue them and stuff, but you don't have to respond. Now, you might get fired, so I am not a lawyer, I'm not a doctor, I am not a psychiatrist. I have a degree in psychology, and I worked in telecom for 25 years, and no, I don't want to fix your iPhone. But I really, really wanted to make sure everyone heard my voice on this beautiful Friday. I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but it sure is pretty here. And no, I don't have on a filter. We just have really great grass, and it's year-round. I have to mow year-round because it's winter rye, and then, I don't know, there's 3 kinds of summer. I signed up for it, and it's my favorite smell, so I can get right over it. But this isn't about me, I promise. I was trying to throw in some funny stories that could maybe make you see a little crack in the light of, hey, maybe I could just take a quick break. I've seen people pretend that they're smokers just to have a smoke break. I don't think they ever actually smoke, but I doubt their boss is following them outside. That's it. I don't have any more dumb ideas for you guys. Sorry. So, to cap what I was saying, thank you for everyone who has ever commented on my channel. This is my 121st video, and the first 35, I have never really been afraid to speak to others, but when my PTSD sunk in really hard after we came back from being lost at sea, I did lose my voice. It came with full-on survivor's guilt panic attacks. And I have one of my best friends is my therapist and my doctor. I've got a support team. I do all the stuff, all the things, but the brain is interesting. So for me, I learn through words. Audiobooks are great for me. So I was just hoping, if you hear my voice, and if you've heard my voice say this before, that eventually you'll believe me. I believe this, that you are kind, that you are loved, and you are supported. And if that rings true or if it doesn't, join my community, and I'm going to come here and I'm going to tell you every day. Y'all already had COVID, I already lost my voice last month. There's no way that could be happening again. So I'll be here. And I just want you to know that I hope so much that you can have some semblance of a beautiful weekend. I love you. Bye. Did Perla say bye? Perla, say bye. Say bye. Hi, everybody. Bye, guys. We love you.